Why is it that some songs just feel like pure joy from the very first chord? If you've ever sat down to write something bright and uplifting, but ended up frustrated because everything sounded flat or boring, then you're not alone. And maybe you've already tried a few of the classic progressions, but somehow they didn't feel as exciting or fresh as you'd hoped. Today I'm going to show you 5 chord progressions that are absolutely packed with that undeniable feeling of happiness and optimism. Not only that, but I'll give you tips and tricks for how to get more out of them, even if you've used some of these before. I've been playing guitar for over 20 years, and since 2021 I've made over 200 videos, racked up millions of views, and helped thousands of people just like you learn to write songs that finally sound the way that they want to. Whether you're brand new to songwriting or you've been playing a while but feel like your ideas aren't living up to your playing ability, these progressions will give you a huge boost. Let's dive straight in to the first one. C, F and G. This one is as simple as it gets. C to F to G. In the key of C major, these are the 1, 4 and 5 chords. If you're newer to Roman numerals, think of 1 as your home base, 4 as a little step out into the world, and 5 is a kind of musical question that wants to be answered. And a key, in this case the C major key, is just constructed from the notes of the relevant scale. In this case, the C major scale. I'll link a video at the end of this one if this is all new to you. You've probably heard this sound in songs like La Bamba, Twist and Shout, and even early Elvis tracks. It's energetic, youthful and timeless. It's also a brilliant fallback if you ever find yourself stuck for ideas. Before we hear it, here's a quick idea. Try speeding it up for a rock and roll feel, or slowing it down for something more anthemic. Play it clean on an acoustic guitar, or crank up the overdrive. It works every time. And if you want to sound a little more bluesy, you can add dominant sevenths, particularly on the 5 chord G. That tiny tweak gives the progression a bit more swagger and tension at the end. I'll play it now both ways so you can get a good feel for this classic. If you're finding this useful, then give the video a like. It really helps more people discover these tips. And if you'd like more insights like this every week, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video that could take your songwriting to the next level. Next up, C to G to A minor to F. In Roman numerals, that's 1, 5, 6, 4. This is often called the 4 chord progression, and it's absolutely everywhere in pop music. It's the engine behind hundreds of songs, and for good reason. C feels bright and strong, G adds tension, and then we shift to A minor, which softens the mood without making things sad, and an F gives us a warm landing. What's beautiful about this progression is that tiny touch of emotion that the A minor brings in. It stops the whole thing from feeling too sugary. Instead, you get something that feels uplifting but real. Think Let It Be by the Beatles, or No One by Alicia Keys, or With or Without You by U2, amongst many, many more songs. If you ever feel like your songs sound too cheesy when you go full major, this progression solves that instantly. Here's something to try. Play C, G, A minor, F, but change the rhythm. Make the C and G short and punchy, and let the A minor and F breathe longer, and then reverse it. See how the emotional shape of the progression changes. Or another idea, try playing the A minor as an A minor 7. It adds a slightly richer, jazzier flavour without making it complicated. Here's how it sounds, once in vanilla form and then with the smooth A minor 7th on repeat. Before we move on to the next progression, if you're new to songwriting and these chord sequences have got you interested in how the process works, then you're going to love my complete songwriting course, Write Your First Song in 1 Hour. Learn more at onehoursong.com or click the link in the description. On to the third progression now, C, A minor, F and G. This one's very close to the last one, but it has a different feel. In Roman numerals, it is 1, 6, 4, 5. This is a good lesson in how the same chords can sound very different depending on the order in which you play them. So always experiment with where the chords feature in your progressions and you might uncover something really cool. This progression is often called the 50s progression because it's powered so many doo-wop hits and early pop songs. It starts on the major 1 chord but moves immediately to the 6th chord, giving it a lovely bittersweet touch right at the start. From there, F4 feels solid and comforting, and G5 builds that friendly tension that begs to return to C. It's still happy, but with a little wistfulness that makes it even more powerful. Think of songs like Stand By Me or Earth Angel. Even modern songs sometimes borrow this progression because it's such an emotional hit. Here's something fun. Try playing this progression in 6/8 time instead of 4/4. Suddenly it has a lilting, swaying feel, perfect for ballads. You can also start by picking arpeggios instead of strumming. Focus on making the A minor chord really ring out. Lean into that little dip of emotion before pulling back up. As we saw earlier, you can also incorporate 7th chords into this progression. Experiment with changing individual chords and see if the smooth 7th sound fits with your song. Let's have a listen to 2 variations now. Firstly, I'll just use basic chords so you can hear the progression. Then I'll play all 7th chords for a jazzier variation. Our 4th progression offers something slightly different. C, B flat and F. In Roman numeral terms, this is a 1 flat 7 4 progression. A flat 7 might sound complicated, but really it just adds a cooler, more laid back feel. Instead of using the normal 7th chord in C major, which is a B diminished, we're borrowing B flat from the Mixolydian mode. The result is bright but rebellious. Now if this seems confusing, then don't panic. You could also just think of it like a major chord that is a whole step below the 1 chord. You've heard this in Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd, Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones, and Can't Explain by The Who. It's everywhere. The great thing about this progression is it doesn't really end unless you want it to. It just loops and grooves and keeps the energy flowing. Here's something that you can try. Instead of strumming all the chords fully, try using short percussive bursts on the C and B flat chords and then let the F chord ring out fully. It can create a sense of building momentum. You'll often also hear these chords played as power chords. I'll use this idea in the next example. I'll use a distorted sound to play the chords and let them ring out for a bar each in the first pass. Then on repeat I'll play the C and B flat chords with percussive bursts and then let the F chord ring out for 2 bars, playing them all as power chords. Next up, we're going to start with a minor chord, D minor, G, C. This is a 2-5-1 progression in the key of C major. This move is a cornerstone of jazz, but you'll find it in pop, soul and folk too. D minor sets up gentle tension, G major tightens it even more, and C major resolves it all beautifully. The way the chords connect is super smooth, almost inevitable. Even though D minor is technically a minor chord, it adds spice rather than sadness. When you land back on C, it feels like a breath of fresh air. You'll hear this progression in Sunday Morning by Maroon 5, Fly Me to the Moon, and hundreds of jazz standards. Want to sound even more sophisticated? Try playing D minor 7, G dominant 7, and C major 7 instead of plain triads. That tiny shift adds a silky, jazzy colour. You can also play a D dominant 7th chord before the G dominant 7th to create an even stronger pull into the final C chord. Or if you're feeling a bit more adventurous and know some extended chords, you can play D minor 9th, G13, C major 9th for a really lush R&B feel. Let's have a listen to 4 variations on this progression. First with basic triads, second with all 7th chords, then with that added D dominant 7th, and finally with 9ths and 13ths. If you've enjoyed these progressions but you're wondering where they have come from and why these chords work, then you need to watch the video on screen now.